Hi, my name is Diane Zahler. I'm the author of 3 fairy tale retellings, and my new book is called Sleeping Beauty's Daughters. I wanted to read a little bit of it to you, just to whet your appetite. Now, you probably already know the story of Sleeping Beauty, the baby princess who was cursed by an evil fairy, who pricked her finger on a spindle, who slept for 100 years. But ask yourself this: what would happen if Sleeping Beauty's terrible curse was handed down to the next generation? Her daughters, Aurora, who's 12, and Luna, who's 9, know that they don't have much time to keep the terrible curse from coming true. So they run away from their cliffside palace and try to make their way down to the beach, where they hope that they can find some help. We walked a half-mile or so farther along the cliffs until we came to the ladder, attached to the cliffside with rusting bolts. I was appalled to see that many of the steps were rotted, and the bottom rungs were simply gone. It was impossible to tell how far a drop it would be from the last step to the shore below. That big storm in February must have pulled it to pieces. Luna paused, looking at the ruined steps. This won't be easy. Peering over the cliff made me nervous. I don't think this is a good idea. What choice do we have? Luna asked practically. We must get to the water and find a boat, and we must not be seen. We can't just walk into town. But it isn't safe, I said weakly. The thought of climbing over the side and descending a ladder that could tear itself from the cliff at any moment made me feel quite shaky. I tightened my grip on her arm. I'll go first, Luna decided. That way I can catch you at the bottom. Catch me, I said. I'm much heavier than you. I'll knock you flat. And who will catch you? Luna grinned. I'm like a cat, she said. I always land on my feet. We moved to the head of the ladder, and I let go of Luna's arm. She turned her back to the sea so she could hold the wooden railings and began climbing down. She had to feel with her feet for each step, and I could hear the old wood creaking and groaning above the sound of the waves. But then she moved faster until she came to the drop-off at the bottom. I peered anxiously over the edge as she lowered herself until she hung by her arms. Her feet dangled above the ground. Then she let go. A cat indeed, I said, relieved as Luna staggered on the stones below, trying to keep her balance. A moment later I could see her dancing about with glee. It's fun, sister, she called, the wind snatching at her words. I stood at the top of the ladder and turned. Gripping the railing so hard that I could feel splinters from the rotted wood piercing my skin, I put one foot on the top step. There. Step by step I inched my way downward. When my foot reached the 5th rung, it creaked and tilted, but I held on so tightly that I didn't slip. I don't know whether it was because I was slower than Luna, or because I was heavier, or both. But when a sudden gust of wind shook the ladder, it gave a great rasping groan and began to break away from the cliff. Above me, I could see each step swing free, one by one. The 4th step, the 3rd, the 2nd. When the top step broke loose, I would plunge with the ladder to the rocks below. I cried out in terror and closed my eyes as I began to fall. It seemed to happen slowly, so that falling felt almost as I imagined flying might feel. And I had time to think to myself, most regretfully, oh, if only I had known I was to die like this, I wouldn't have struggled so hard against sleep.